As I have said, it's pretty simple. Basically, John McCain, Richard Nixon, um, pretty much ran around. They realized how um, I owned Panama Canal, and I owned all this stuff. So pretty much, they basically ran around and pretty much started killing everyone. Um, they shot people in the back, took whatever they had, and then ran around. Top secret bases basically mean where they were pretty much flying missions out to go bomb someone, and they were extorting and raping, and basically they just used these bases as little torture places to rape and kill. And pretty much once they got a girl there, they would have their way with her, and then they would kill her, pretty much, or women, basically. A lot of these bases used to have men and women on on the staff, and then JFK would show up or Nixon would show up, and he would pretty much kill the men, rape the women, and basically move on, leaving nothing but death and destruction behind him. It's claiming that he was the American president and this and that, and pretty much he just went from base to base to base to base to place to town to city, and basically killed everyone in his wake. They would go in there for inspections, and then they would come back about 3 to 6 months later, and pretty much he would have his pick of, like, he would have seen a cute girl here or a cute girl there, and he would decide to go back, and like some sort of sick psycho, they would go back and they would rape the women and pretty much have his way with everyone, and torture and everything. And mostly he was going up against Chinese or Germans, because they are the ones that were actually staffed at all these bases. Pretty much he was making it Yankee Republic country, basically taking over by death. And basically they would shoot the commanding officer in the back or whatever, or poison, and then poison the crew, or poison everyone else if they could. Basically, they would just, from day one, they basically set out to kill everyone. And set everything up so it was like a ticking time bomb to destruction. And that's pretty much what Nixon and John McCain and Jimmy Carter did. Basically. They would just went from base to base, supposedly doing inspections to make sure that there wasn't any undue whatever. And they would show up and they would demand entry. And they basically, they're just looking for technology. A better weapon to kill with or whatever. Anyway, and then they would leave and say it was the Chinese or it was some other country. I'd been there. Took me a while to get that, and he was mostly, like he say, he would rape the really hot women, and because my women were hot and they were really smart, and I mean they were gorgeous women, and so he couldn't have them any other way other than by force. So that's what he did. That's what John McCain, he didn't look that good. So basically they just went from base to base to base, and him and a couple other guys would have their way with my really hot women, and they would chain them or torture them or basically, because they didn't have any money other than a gun. They weren't really president. They really weren't anything. So they just basically put a gun to a girl's thing, and were all my hot women, and basically forced them to be their little sex slaves. And that's pretty much what JFK was, what Nixon was. That's pretty much all they were. It's all Jimmy Carter and even Chuck Yeager, who really couldn't fly at first. When he was 20 years old, he couldn't fly an aircraft. I don't think he was a real pilot. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I know he wasn't flying anything until he was like 40 or so, or 50. He finally did learn. I don't know. It's all in the top secret documents, but basically, Nixon lied a lot. So, like for instance, the United States never built the SR-71. They didn't. They couldn't. They didn't have the technology. They didn't have the metal. Lockheed didn't do it. It's all a lie. Lockheed had a cardboard plywood aircraft inside their warehouse. Germany had a supersonic aircraft, and so did Russia. I mean, I did, but the United States didn't. They had biplanes and stuff like that. They didn't have anything really. I was using the United States for like the Flying Fortress and stuff. So they didn't have any jets at all. Not until like 1980. That's when the United States, or America, first had its first jet. But I didn't need what I need to, I mean, I had Europe. So anyway, and that was where I was. You know, and Nixon and JFK just wanted to justify all their death and destruction, and so did Jimmy Carter and John McCain. They killed everyone that they came in contact with, basically. Possibly with the sons of the king and queen, or whatever. I'm not exactly sure. I know someone. Well, I think they took my white ships by force. You know, I mean Rodney, Rick Bush. You know, it's all just basically one circle of basically happy rape club. And yeah, I did this thing, so anyway, I don't know. You know, they basically wanted to say that the Republicans, like Roosevelt started it, and Roosevelt we found out about how Roosevelt was killing the blacks and Indians, and then you know, the Irish put a stop to it, and then you know, and then like, so JFK just, you know, I mean, it's just one big nightmare. So that's because I had Panama and Germany, because the steel was going to Germany from Panama, so, and being manufactured into different things. And the metal, the rock, was very, very good quality, so I was shipping it all the way to Germany. So I had like titanium alloys and really high alloys. And then I started out going to Ireland and Russia and did all that. So anyway, yeah. And I had my food source in Cuba, so. And JFK went down there and wanted to party and stuff, and pretty much they were killing the people that were in Cuba or whatever. You know, it was Roosevelt, Republican way, aristocrats. So, and Germany knew about it, and they were putting a stop to it.